board meeting of the Texas Southmost College today. Item number one, I will call, I'll make a roll call. Trustees present, I can see Dr. Zavaleta.
Present.
Ms. Alejandro, Ms. Garza, Ms. Saenz, myself, Ms. Aldrete, and Mr. De Leon. Did I leave anyone out? Also present is Jesus Roberto Rodriguez. Item number two on the agenda, Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Zavaleta, will you lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance?
I would be honored. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag.
Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance
To the
one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Zavaleta.
Thank you.
Item three on the agenda is public comments. I understand there's no one signed up for public comments. Mr. President? Claudia?
That is correct. There are no public comments.
No public comments. Thank you. Item number four, President's report. I'll call on Dr. Rodriguez to give his report.
Thank you, Chair Herrera, Board of Trustees. I would like to begin with a report on our preliminary enrollment numbers for spring 2021. I'm pleased to inform you that as of today, we have registered 3,761 on-campus students. In addition, we have 3,418 dual enrollment students and 1,839 early college high school students. This brings our total spring enrollment to 9,018 students. As we stand right now, we're at a negative 3.3% compared this time to the census day of last year. The spring semester began on Monday, January 18th, and I will continue to provide you with updates as we complete our spring registration process. As a reminder, the census day is February 2nd, 2021, which represents the 12th day of class, and that will be the official numbers for the spring registration. And once again, I can't thank you enough to our Board of Trustees, our faculty and staff and administration, and our community partners for their hard work and unwavering support, especially during these difficult and uncertain times. And a special thank you to all staff, especially the student services and student life staff, because they've done a phenomenal job in helping our students with the registration process. For the past 3 weeks, we've been working Monday through Saturday. We've been working long hours, approximately 65 hours a week, and that shows with our progress. Also, as part of the TSC marketing efforts, we held our first 2 virtual registration rallies in January.
Just a second.
It's not coming from here.
There you go. I think we got it.
We got it?
I believe so.
Perfect.
Also, as I was mentioning, we had our first 2 virtual registration rallies in January on the 6th and the 13th, in addition to our extended hours. The virtual registration rally at home events, as we were calling them, were conducted via live streaming on TSC's Facebook Premiere, featured on the college main Facebook page. The rallies generated over 4,000 views. Viewers had the opportunity to see and hear how to begin the enrollment process, how to get advice, apply for financial aid, get registered, and become familiar with our programs, services, and resources. In addition, the viewers were also able to interact live with TSC staff, to set up appointments, and have questions answered in the comment section of the live event, or to get a call right back. Meanwhile, we held extended hours from January 4th through January 16th, and extended registration through today, January 21st. We better serve our students by providing additional opportunities to register for this spring semester. I also want to talk about our end of last semester when we prepared our holiday video on behalf of the TSC Board of Trustees and the college that was shared with the entire college and our Rio Grande Valley communities. We thank everyone for supporting TSC and our students. We heard some great feedback from our community that truly enjoyed this holiday video that was aired on all local TV channels and our social media during the week of Christmas. I want to thank everyone involved in the production of this creative and heartwarming video. especially our Board of Trustees and the AV team that made it come to life. This past year, again, has been unprecedented. Like other areas around the country and the world, our community was hit hard by this pandemic. While the current health crisis had affected everyone from all walks of life, I wanted to continue to do our part. And we did that, as we do every year. And that is to bring a smile to a child's face, especially now, and provide some relief and hope to our community during the holiday season. Prior to the winter break on December 11th, TSC spread the holiday cheer in the community by hosting a drive-through for Rosa E. del Castillo Elementary School as part of the college's annual Angel Tree Toy Drive. Our newly elected board chair, Mr. Ruben Herrera, yay, and I attended the toy drive distribution along with Student Life and the Student Government Association. We distributed toys to over 270 pre-K through first grade students. The toys were donated by TSC students, faculty, staff, administration, our Board of Trustees, our community members during the month-long drive that began in November. I'm also pleased to report that TSC Criminal Justice Institute graduated 38 cadets during a social distance graduation ceremony on December 12th at the College Performing Arts Center. The ceremony was also live streamed. The cadets completed the TSC Basic Police Officer Certification courses that cover 752 hours mandated by the state of Texas and received preparatory training to complete the state peace officer exam. Thank you to our board members for attending, including our board chair, Mr. Herrera, our past chair, Ms. Adela Garza, and trustees, Mr. J.J. De Leon and Ms. Alejandra Aldrete. We're all very proud of our cadets on their accomplishments and are looking forward to seeing them protecting and serving our community. The TSC also held the second virtual commencement ceremony on December 12th to celebrate graduates from the summer and the fall semesters. The fall 2020 commencement ceremony premiered via Facebook Live on TSC's Facebook page and on YouTube. The stunning and visually appealing ceremony was viewed close to 9,000 times. I want to thank our Board of Trustees, faculty, and staff for their collaboration in making this graduation possible. That is our mission, and it takes everyone at the college to make it happen for our students. It was a challenging year, and everyone worked hard to provide our students with what they needed to stay in school, to continue pursuing their degrees and certificate, and graduate. So thank you all for helping our students achieve and celebrate this important milestone in their lives and in their educational careers. TSC held its second virtual convocation on Monday, January 11th. I also want to thank our board chair, Mr. Ruben Herrera, past chair, Ms. Adela Garza, and our new trustee, Alejandra Aldrete, for participating and providing our faculty and staff with some words of encouragement and inspiration during the opening of our spring convocation. This year's spring convocation included presentations on our build-outs, our enrollments, our dual credit growth, and safety updates. Finally, I'm happy to report and announce that we have finally hired our new Director of Technology and Online Learning, Dr. Sarah Baber. Dr. Baber is no stranger to working help desk and pulling cables, as well as leading teams for the creation and learning of new technology management systems for institutions of higher education. Dr. Baber brings more than 2 decades of experience to her position at TSC. Prior to her arrival, TSC, Dr. Baber was the Director of Online Learning for the College of Geosciences at Texas A&M University at College Station. So we took her away from A&M College Station. Dr. Baber received her doctorate from Nova Southeastern University and her master's degree in instructional psychology and technology from the University of Oklahoma. She earned her bachelor's degree in administration and management from Oklahoma State University. Her official first day was January 18th. So please help me in welcoming Dr. Baber to the TSC family. Dr. Baber, do you have any words you'd like to share with the trustees?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the Board of Trustees. I am very pleased and honored to be here, and I'm excited to get to work, and I'm very excited about the opportunities that lie ahead that my team and I, along with members of the faculty across the campus, can begin to map out for our students now and in the future. And I'm very pleased to be here, and I'm excited, and I thank you for the welcome.
Welcome, Dr. Baber. On behalf of the trustees, welcome.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to share with you this month's video highlights, the activities that have occurred since we last met. And I know Frank's around here somewhere. Can you please start the video, sir?
Hi Scorpions, welcome to our second registration rally at home here, live at Texas Southmost College.
We are offering the TSI remotely, so that means that you are taking the test from home.
If you have documents that you want to drop off and cannot send through the email, you can drop it off at the solid blue drop box.
But we are checking them on a daily basis. We are open late today till 8 o'clock. We're working late just for you.
Gabriela says, thank you for taking the time to help us during the pandemic. We appreciate it a lot, and I miss campus.
Oh, we missed you, Gabriela.
We missed you, Gabriela.
And we miss all our Scorpions.
We're here for you. We want you to succeed. TSC is your family. Let's get it.
I pushed through, I studied, I focused, and I got in contact with my professors anytime I needed anything, and with all that, I was able to succeed.
Any final thoughts or comments that you want to share with the students and future Scorpions?
No matter how you feel, what you're going through, be strong, show yourself you can do this, take on the challenge and show up and never give up. Get started today.
We have some more shout outs coming in. This one is from Alejandra Aldrete. Way to go TSC, great way to help our students. Scorpion strong, hashtag proud board member. Well, thank you, Ms. Aldrete, for all your support. We're so fortunate to have you on board.
You have a powerhouse team here at Texas Southmost College, willing, able to help you.
TSC has given me hope. I've learned and grown so much here. Everyone has helped me find my way and led me to resources that have helped me succeed. This was the best move I could have made.
TSC was a missing puzzle piece. Like many students, I didn't know what I wanted to do or where my passion might lie, but my experiences at TSC helped me discover myself as a person and as a leader.
At TSC, I feel like I'm home. Everyone from my instructors to the students is so helpful. I felt like we're all one big family. All of this makes me feel like I could do anything, and it gave me the boost of confidence I need to continue my education.
I found success in my new career thanks to the training I received from my instructors at TSC. They always went above and beyond to ensure I understood processes, to be there for me with resources when I struggled, and to open my eyes to new perspectives of the industry. TSC showed me higher education was possible.
TSC not only changed my life, but also my family's. I have a great paying career with plenty of opportunity for growth. I can only go up from here, thanks to TSC.
The TSC Police Academy gave us the tools we need to succeed as police officers. The criminal justice program is going to help me move on with the next phase of my career, to become a Texas State Trooper.
The driving force behind the success we see as students and the program's success are the instructors. When we're nervous, they calm us down. When we're unsure, they give us confidence, and they always give insight and guide us.
Without the instruction and guidance from my accounting instructor, Marco Porras, I would not have found my niche in business, accounting. He helped shift my perspective and what I could do and achieve. He's the reason why I'm continuing my education.
TSC has been a great experience for me. The folks at the TSC Veteran Success Center have been phenomenal. They have helped me in my transition every step of the way. Without them, it truly would have been a challenge.
I plan on paying it forward as a teacher for all the times others believed in me and motivated me to move forward with my education and career. TSC made it possible for me to get where I am today and to believe in my dreams. It was a stepping stone I needed.
Our instructor has trained us to do the work exactly how it will be done out in the field. I'm very happy because now I have a stable job that pays well. This changes everything for me and my family.
This is my long-term career. I don't plan on going anywhere. I want to continue to learn and grow. A big thank you goes to TSC for changing my life. I'm in a better place now. My entire family is in a better place. I can breathe easier.
The success I found at TSC is unmatched to anywhere else, and I'm finally where I want to be. I'm so happy that I returned to college because TSC has given me a great career, and now my life is on track. I owe it all to TSC's Diagnostic Medical Sonography program and its instructors. I'm so thankful to the college for changing my life.
Thank you. So we showed the first video where the month's video highlights, but also wanted to showcase that testimonial videos that we're doing because we really don't want to lose focus on what we do every day. And this is a reflection. I hope we captured what we've done, are doing, and I'm confident we'll continue to do. We'll be sharing it with the foundation and we'll be sharing it with the trustees individually as well. We finally polished up the video. So this is something we're going to be showcasing as we move forward, this testimonial video.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment?
Yes, Dr. Zavaleta. If he's yes.
Thank you. I'd like to think that we, during this semester, we would reach out to DACA students who may have not returned and other marginalized students due to their immigration status and tell them that we love them and we want them at TSC. I hope we'll do that.
Yes, sir. We'll work on some marketing for that and outreach to that specific population.
Any other comments?
I just want to thank everyone for their efforts and commitment as we finish another productive and successful fall semester. And I'm looking forward to an amazing spring 2021. So to everyone, de todo corazón, muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much. This concludes my report. Thank you, sir.
If I may make a comment, we were bracing for a 20% downfall in our enrollment. And it turns out that we're at a 3%. Thank you so much, Dr. Rodriguez, for keeping up our numbers and our enrollment and helping us serve our community students. Thank you so much, and thank you to each and every individual who works at TSC.
Thank you, sir. But it does take a whole team effort. You know, starts right here, as we always say, the team of 8, but it trickles down to all the VPs, AVPs, and staff that we really go that extra mile. And I'm proud to report that the people here care about the community and they care about helping our students, and it's the work speaks for itself. So again, on behalf of our faculty and staff, we want to thank our trustees for their continued support, but without the resources, it makes it extremely challenging for us to move forward. So thank you.
Any other comments from the board?
Mr. Chairman, Dr. Rodriguez, I just want to let you know that the phenomenal job that you all do with marketing. I got a phone call the other day and said, you know, I don't know who you have over there, but they do a phenomenal job when we do advertise for anything at TSC. And I said, well, I wish they would do that the same with our school district, but it's just phenomenal and a great job that the people do here, that it doesn't even compare. And, the school district has $250,000 budget and they can't even match our advertisement that we do here. So I want to congratulate all your staff for that. It's super important, and that's attracts students to come here. Thank you. Thank you.
I'd also like to say thank you to Dr. Rodriguez and his staff. I spoke to him on Saturday, and they were working. They were on campus working. So all of that is truly appreciated, and it shows the results are there of all your hard work. Thank you.
I keep saying that it is a TSC family and it keeps coming up, but it is true. I was looking at the student advisors and they're working 8 to 8 and not just for one day, for I guess for about at least a week. That gets old, but of course they've been staying at home to do working from home. But once you come back and then you have to do 8 to 8, I mean, and they had to do it. But one thing that I would like to say is because of them and everybody, we haven't furloughed anybody. We're still a whole family. And if we keep this up, there's no reason to. But we need to pay attention to the numbers. We're in a good place because the board has been very frugal with its finances. But I want to thank everybody that was involved in bringing the enrollment up. It is phenomenal. It really is, because if you read everything that Dr. Zabaleta sends us, it says that we were supposed to lose a lot of students, and some colleges and universities are really in trouble, and we're doing really, really well. And that's thanks to all of us because we're working together. But thank you, Dr. Rodriguez, for your leadership and your whole team.
Any other comments? There being none, next item was on the agenda is consideration and possible action on the minutes on the following meetings. The regular meeting of November 19th, 2020, and special meeting of November 23rd, 2020. Do I have a motion to approve?
I think we should approve them individually.
Okay.
Collectively.
Any motion to approve the regular?
I move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November 19th, 2020.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item is approval of the minutes of special meeting of November 23rd, 2020.
Motion to approve.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item is 5B, approval of the minutes of the special meeting of November 23rd, 2020. What are the wishes of the board?
We just did. I move to accept the minutes as read.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
May I suggest that you please call out who said the motion and the second by name, please?
Agreed.
For the minutes.
Okay. On this, Mr. De Leon and Ms. Aldrete, Mr. De Leon made the motion, Ms. Aldrete second the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Garza. Next item is the academic committee. I will call on Mr. De Leon to present the item.
Mr. Herrera, we might have to go back. Mr. De Leon and Ms. Aldrete did the motion for the second set of meetings, and Ms. Alejandro and I did the motion for the third set of minutes.
I believe that
it was Zabaleta and you, I think, no?
Yes. Yeah, okay.
Okay. the secretary, Mrs. Alejandro, it was Mr. Zabaleta and who?
Actually, on November 23rd, it was myself and Dr. Zabaleta was seconded.
Okay.
Okay.
Third item on item.
Okay, my understanding is for the regular meeting, it was Dr. Zabaleta and Ms. Garza. And then it was a special meeting, November 23rd. It was Mr. De Leon and myself. And then you repeated the meeting again. And then that was when Ms. Delia and Mr. Zabaleta.
I think he did.
We did it twice.
Twice, Mr. Herrera.
Just a second.
Was it 3 sets of meetings?
No,
it was only 2.
No, there's only 2.
Okay. The 19th and the 23rd.
I apologize. It was twice in my notes, and there's 2 separate ones. So I apologize. Bear with me. I'm learning. So do we have to go back?
No, I think we're set.
Thank you. Next item is the academic committee. Mr. De Leon.
Chair, thank you. The academic committee met on Wednesday, January 13, 2021. Present were Chair Herrera, Ms. Garza, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC administration, and college legal counsel. The committee discussed the following item. 6A, consideration and possible action on the addition of language to the board-approved agreement for dual credit between TSC and the school district within TSC service area. I call on Dr. Kyle, Vice President of Instruction, and Mr. Jose Arambula, Executive Director of High School Program Services, to present the items. Dr. Kyle?
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez. What you have before you is a revised version of our Memorandum of Understanding, or academic agreement, as we call it, with our school districts. From time to time, the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board does change the language and adds in additional courses that we can teach under our dual credit agreements. And so what you have before you in your packet is a clean copy of the Memorandum of Understanding or the academic agreement, followed by a track changes copy. There are 2 major additions in the language. One is in section 3 under eligible courses, which in the packet is pages 60 and 61. Or when you're just looking at the agreement itself, we've numbered it page 2 of 9. That language gives us the right to add in some additional active field of study curriculum under Senate Bill 25 and list that under section 3. While we were making changes to the agreement, we also decided to update section 10, which is on pages 64 and 65 of the packet, or if you're looking at the page numbering of the agreement itself, it's pages 6 and 7. As you are aware, during the pandemic, a lot of our services have been offered virtually. So we took this opportunity to add some of that language into section 10, which discusses our student learning and support services. So those are the 2 major changes to this agreement. Mr. De Leon?
So I motion to approve the revised academic agreement for dual credit between TSC and the school district within TSC service area, and authorize President Rodriguez to enter into the agreement with partnering school districts.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Mr. De Leon made the motion and it was seconded by Ms. Alejandro?
Signs.
Ms. Sines, I apologize. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 6B, consideration and possible action on creating a new Associate of Science and Engineering with initial implementation in the fall of 2022. Dr. Kyle, Vice President of Instruction, and Dr. Musalim, Dean of STEAM and CT, to present the items. Dr. Kyle?
Thank you, sir. Members of the board, Chair Herrera, President Rodriguez, what you have before you is a proposed new degree program, an Associate of Science in Engineering. As is our custom, Mr. De Leon, with your permission, I'd like to ask Dr. Abu Salim to share his screen and provide you with the necessary information to make an informed decision.
Good afternoon, Chairman Herrera, members of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Rodriguez. Thank you, Dr. Kyle, for this opportunity to present to you the proposed degree plan or degree program in engineering. Just give me a second here, if you don't mind, please. Let me try to, hopefully, I'll be able to share very smoothly. Here we go. Let me share this. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can. I can.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. So today I'm going to quickly go through some of the information that you have in your packet regarding job demand, which the data indicate there is a healthy and sustainable job opportunities and demand for a career in engineering. We're also going to go over student demand, which also the data indicate there is a strong interest among students at the local, state, and national level in pursuing a degree in engineering. We're also going to go compare some degrees that are being offered in the state of Texas and very briefly explain the process that we went through to develop and design the curriculum at TSC and explain how is it aligned with the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board Field of Study curriculum for engineering and how is that beneficial for our students in terms of creating for them a focus and a clear pathway to transfer into a 4-year degree in engineering of their choice. And obviously, we're going to talk about the needed personal and physical resources for this new program and the projected budget within the next 5 years. This proposal for establishing a new degree in engineering obviously aligned with the TSC strategic goals, mainly leading the regional workforce development, but also fostering student success by creating yet another pathway for them to choose and add it to the growing number of programs and degrees that we offer here at TSC as we continue to grow and expand. When it comes to job demand, as you can see from the list here, the field of engineering is a very diverse field. There is more than 18 different specific specialties within the field of engineering across the board. We start looking into the specific areas of engineering that has the highest number of employment, as you can see here highlighted on the screen: civil engineering, industrial engineering, mechanical engineering, and so forth. So if you look into these specific 4 specialties, and I'm not going to go through the whole data, but just give you an example, civil engineering, for example, this is the projection between 2016 and 2026, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. As you can see, nationally, the projection is about 6% growth between 2016 and 2026. In Texas, it's about 21%, but in the lower Rio Grande Valley, it's even higher. It's almost 24, to be exact, 23.98%. And in Cameron County, 29% projected increase in employment in civil engineering related fields, which is obviously a great indicator of the demand. And it's a reflection of the ongoing development and economic growth in our region. And as you can see, the numbers kind of duplicate. Mechanical engineering, kind of similar trend, and the rest of them are kind of similar trend too. When it comes to 2019 employment, we looked into the numbers, and this is just, again, a snapshot of what we found. In Brownsville-Harlingen area, there were about 510 employers in the field of architecture, engineering, occupations. If you look into the specific specialties that we talked about, civil, electrical, and mechanical, as you can see, the numbers here, ranges between 60, 50, and so forth. If we look into McAllen, Edinburgh, Mission, the number is about 1,370. And again, you see the distribution. Civil engineering is the highest with 350, mechanical 60, and electrical 50. And of course, you see the numbers there for the state, and national is about 2,592,680 employment. Not only there is a strong demand and high employment opportunities, but also those kind of occupation, they pay well. As you can see, there are the mean numbers on the mean wages. Again, in Brownsville area, McAllen area, state of Texas, and nationally. And as you can see, the range goes from almost 70,000 to almost 100,000 per year, and it fluctuates between the different regions. When it comes to student demand, as we mentioned earlier, this is the data that is available on the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. Enrollment in a bachelor degree in engineering-related degrees across the nation, engineering ranked number 4 among the highest 10 majors in the nation. Same thing at the graduate level, in the master level, the same trend. Engineering-related degrees and master degrees is ranked number 4 nationwide. Obviously, we're looking into the state of Texas. We start focusing and zooming into the state of Texas. Again, this is just samples of enrollment in different universities in the state of Texas: University of Houston, UTRGV, San Antonio, Taylor, Kinsville, and Texas Tech. The total numbers under the colleges of engineering, as you can see, are in the 3,865, and so on. And then we looked into the specialties that we are focusing on: civil engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering. As you can see, the numbers fluctuate or goes from 300 to 1,000 in some cases. Again, this is the fall 2019 enrollment. When it comes to colleges, in the state of Texas, here are some samples. Houston Community College, 1,224. South Texas College, 1,019. PSTC, 161, and so forth. So as you can see, the numbers are very encouraging, and it showcases that there is a strong demand across the board. Obviously, we know that our targeted students and recruitment prospective students will come from our local districts. So we looked into the enrollment in engineering courses for this year, 2021, and those are the numbers. In total, we have 1,429 students enrolled in engineering courses. PSD has the highest number, almost 956 to be exact, followed with Harlingen, Los Fresnos, Point Isabel. San Benito do not offer any engineering courses at the moment. When we looked into the different programs that being offered in the state of Texas at the college level, there is about 162 different programs. The bulk of it is community colleges, 142, and then state colleges, there is 1 program, and technical colleges, 19. Most of those colleges, they offer different type of degrees. They offer the general degree in engineering, as you can see, but also some of them, like Alamo Community College, they offer civil, a specific associate degree in civil or a specific associate degree in mechanical engineering. And you can see Austin Community College has something similar, and some just offer the general engineering degree. So as we are, we're developing the degree plan, we start looking into what's out there. Obviously, there are some, guideline and standards that we have to adhere to. So Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board have approved a field of study curriculum in engineering. They have 4 different tracks that I'm going to go through in a second, but just to kind of give you a reference or a background about what a field of study curriculum mean. Basically, it's a set of courses that will satisfy the lower division requirements for a bachelor degree in a specific academic area at a general academic teaching institution. Lower division requirements or lower division courses, those are the typical courses that we offer at TSC or at any community college level. And it helps by facilitating free transferability of those courses from public community colleges to universities. So when we look into the different tracks that the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board have established, you see there are 4: chemical, civil, electrical, and mechanical. Without going into too much detail, just kind of this chart shows that there are courses that are common among these 4 tracks highlighted in yellow. There are courses that are common only between civil and electrical, highlighted in green. And then there are some others common between civil and mechanical, highlighted in orange. And the remaining courses are required only by one field, mainly chemical engineering. There is one course also required by electrical engineering. So given the fact that civil, electrical, mechanical is one of the highest job opportunities available here in the region and one of the highest paid specialties within engineering, we start focusing on that. So as you can see, we start narrowing down the type of degree of courses that we're going to have. And the end result was we're going to have a degree plan that will be a field of study complete for the civil engineering track, which means that students will be field of study complete for civil engineering, but also by default, they will be also completing almost all the courses for mechanical engineering. They will be lacking one course. And for electrical, they will be lacking 2 courses. So that will give the student the choice to either pursue a bachelor degree in civil, or if they choose to, they can also pursue a bachelor degree in electrical, mechanical, or any other degrees for that matter. Most of these courses, they transfer to other specialty within engineering major. So this is our degree plan. There are 7 new courses that will be part of the new degree plan. The remaining courses, they are part of our current inventory. We offer these courses at TSC. Beside the field of study, of course, we have to adhere, as I said, to the SACS USC guidelines. So we're already accommodating all the 15 credit hours for humanities, social behavioral science, and natural mathematics. And we also including the 12 semester credit hours of history and government that is mandated by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. In total, there are 60 semester credit hours, which is the standard for this kind of degrees. As I said, these are the new courses, mainly in engineering. So our degree plan, it's designed for our students to pursue, once they graduate from TSC, to pursue a degree in a bachelor degree in engineering of their choice, mainly civil, electrical, electronic, mechanical, telecommunication engineering. It's a field of study complete, as I mentioned, for civil engineering. We have established the goal for this program is to prepare students to pursue a Bachelor of Science degree in engineering specialization of their choice. And we have identified the program learning outcomes that will be aligned with the specific courses that are part of this degree plan. This is just to give you a sense of how these courses are being offered. Some of them have a lecture and a lab component. Some of them are mainly lecture component. And we also go across the board with the total hours and the load for the faculty that will be teaching those courses. So how this will work for our students, just again, this is just a sample. The courses that are in the blue box here are the courses that will be offered at TSC as part of the new degree plan for engineering. And this is just as the Bachelor of Science degree at UTRGV in the bottom. And as you can see, all the highlighted courses within the bachelor degree, the students will be already completing at TSC and they will be receiving credit for it once they transfer to UTRGV. This is for the civil engineering, same situation for mechanical engineering. All the courses that we'll be taking at TSC will be transferable into the Bachelor of Science at UTRGV. And again, we went to 2 different universities. This is TAMUK, just to give you again a sample or a sense. Civil engineering, mechanical engineering. Tyler, as you can see also, the bulk of the first 2 years courses and some of the last year course also will be transferred or credited for our student. And same thing for mechanical. Not only that we looked into how the students will transfer from TSC to a university, but also how we're gonna bring them from the high school level to TSC. At the moment, we looked into BISD as one of the largest partner we have. They do offer these courses as part of their engineering Project Lead the Way program that they have adapted. And based on what they're offering, and in addition to some of the core curriculum courses that are part of our degree plan, the students will be able to receive 28 semester credit hours as dual enrollment at the high school level, at the junior and senior level. Then they're going to transfer to TSC And most of those students, I know they're students who are good in math and science. So there is a potential for them, if they choose to start right away, start in the summer, to complete the remaining requirement for our Associate of Science in Engineering within 1 year. Definitely they can complete it within a year and a half for sure. And from there, they transition into the university. So we have the complete, pathway for them kind of designed, and hopefully will help them with the transitioning from one level to the next. As far as personal and physical resources are concerned, we do have some new courses that will be offered in the first year. And for that, we're going to need to hire an adjunct to teach those courses. By the second year of implementation, we're going to need to hire a full-time faculty to teach the remaining courses of the degree, and also to help with with the recruitment and serve as a coordinator. The remaining of the courses are already being taught by our faculty within the STEM and the Division of Humanities. Facilities-wide, thank God, we do have the labs. We have the chemistry lab that is, part of the degree. We have physics lab, so that's part of the degree. But we also have engineering lab at the SETP building, and those are just images of those labs and the classroom for engineering that we currently have. It's already equipped. It has the furniture. We're gonna need to purchase some equipment to teach the specific engineering courses. And this is the chart for the projected cost in the first year and second year and so on. The bulk of the equipment will be bought obviously in the first and second year, and then after that is just going to be regular maintenance or any additional small equipment added. And then as you can see, the budget after the second year, once we hire the full-time faculty, the salary will be added to the annual budget. So within the next 5 years, we have the totals of each year. The projected first 3 years budget is about $156,104.59, and then the 5 years projected budget is $272,683.52. As far as revenue is concerned, this is the amount of funds or revenue that we'll be generating at TSC by offering the engineering courses. This is just the revenue coming from the tuition and fees, from the lab fees that are part of these courses, the state allocated funds, and the contact hours. So this is what we have kind of put together, and you have it in your packet. Of course, we are very excited about this new degree plan and our proposal, and obviously we're here to entertain or answer any questions that you might have regarding this degree.
I'd like to make the motion, propose to approve the new Associates of Science in Engineer for academic year 2022-2023.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second that. And I have a question.
There's a motion and a second now. Is there discussion?
I second it.
Okay.
Okay. I'm very, very pleased to see this. When I started at TSC in the early 60s, I studied engineering, and I completed the associate degree in engineering and civil engineering, which transferred directly to the University of Texas at Austin. I'm so happy that we now have UTRGV, which gives our students an opportunity, because very few of the students that I studied with were able to transfer. I'm wondering, Dr. Abu Salim, I know some years back we offered engineering drawing and surveying. Do we do that still? Do we have an engineering drawing, drafting, and surveying course?
We do have, yes, Dr. Zavalata, thank you for the question. Yes, we do have a different degree in drafting. We still have that degree in addition to the architecture degree, of course. So,
would those courses be required somewhere in this engineering curriculum?
Not, sir. No. The drafting degree that we have is a technical program, so it has a completely different set of courses that is come from the workforce manual. This degree that we're offering now is an academic degree that, again, it's designed for students to pursue a bachelor, like as you mentioned. So they have a different set of degrees.
I understand that. I understand it. Let me pose my question a different way. Do the engineering degree, civil engineering, does the civil engineering program at UTRGV required drafting or surveying? The University of Texas does. In Austin, the University of Texas.
Dr. Zavaleta, we could go back and look at those courses on the PowerPoint, but we can get that answer for you.
Yeah,
I do know that they're not included in the THECB field of study. And that's what helps our students transfer in block courses to the university. So, but we could go back and look at that, sir, and get that answer for you.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Just to add to that, Dr. Zavaleta, so in the field of study, there is a graphic engineering course that is
Herrera. Apparently, they're having issues in the Gorgas boardroom. They have no sound. So if you could please hold a minute.
Okay.
So that way they
We
can.
hold the meeting just a second.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Let us know when we can proceed.
We're back.
Sound is back.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We can continue now. Thank you.
Any other discussions on this topic, on this item?
I
There's
just
a
want to
motion.
say, what a great opportunity for our students here locally to have this opportunity to come here to get an associate after just 1 year after they graduate from high school. It's a great opportunity for our students. Thank you, Dr. Buzaline, Dr. Kyle, for presenting this item. So go ahead, Mr. Herrera, I'm ready.
If I can make a little comment before I take a vote, seeing the courses that are required for this field, I started getting a fever, chills, and I don't know what other things. Upset stomach, trust me. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying
Aye. A motion was made by Mr. De Leon and the second was made by me.
Motion was made by Mr. De Leon, and the second was made by you.
Dr.
Garza. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 6C, consideration and possible action on approval of MOU between Workforce Solution Cameron and Texas Southern College regarding the WFSC's grant application, the Texas Workforce Commission Apprenticeship Texas Expansion Grant Program. I call on Dr. Kyle, Vice President of Instruction, Dr. Angelica Fuentes, Associate Vice President of Academic Success, and Dr. Joseph Fleshman, Associate Vice President of Instruction, Workforce Training and Continuing Education, to present the items. Dr. Kyle.
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, board members, President Rodriguez, what you have before you is a request to enter into a partnership and apply for a grant through Workforce Solutions Cameron with other partners in an expansion effort to expand our apprenticeships. Dr. Flashman has the particulars on this. Dr. Flashman, would you share the particulars of this particular application?
Yes. Chair Herrera, trustees, Dr. Rodriguez, it's a pleasure to see you all again. This will be the second cycle of the Apprenticeship Texas Expansion Grant. And if you approve this, we will receive an additional $185,100 to fund students in the following programs: 30 individuals in our plumbing apprentice program, 30 individuals in an electrical apprentice program, and 40 individuals in a new program that the college is currently in the process of developing with industry called commercial roofing, which will be offered as a pre-apprentice program. We're excited about this program, Chair Herrera, because it shows the type of relationship we have with industry. In this particular world, this company needs 40 individuals. As a part of enrollment into this program, the company will actually have every individual complete the application so that upon immediate completion of the 2-week training program, they will simply report to work at a starting salary of $18 to $40 per hour. They need 40 a year, so that's why we're starting with 40. We did an excellent job in completing the performance expectations of our first year grant. And if you afford us the ability to enter into this MOU, I'm confident that we will meet the performance expectations in this grant as well.
I would like to make a motion to approve the MOU between Workforce Solution Cameron and TSC to fund 30 individuals in the new electrician apprenticeship program, 30 individuals in the existing plumbing registered partner apprenticeship program, and 40 new pre-apprentice in its new commercial roofing pre-apprenticeship program pending funding from the Texas Workforce Commission.
There is a motion by Mr. De Leon. Is there a second?
I second.
There's a motion by Mr. De Leon, a second by Ms. Garza. All those in favor, any discussion? All those in favor signify by Ms. Science. You're on mute.
Next item.
There. The grant period is from April 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2022. Would these programs start in the first summer session of 2021?
Yes, ma'am. These programs will start in April.
April,
and
okay.
We will complete, I would not be surprised, ma'am, if we complete these programs within 6 months, the training within 6 months. We have a large number of students seeking enrollment into these programs.
Great, thank you.
Any other discussion? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you,
Item
Doctor.
6D, update on EMS certification exam, pass rate, and plan of action for success. Dr. Kyle, Vice President of Instruction, Dr. David Pierce, Dean of Health Professions, and Mr. Scott Nelson, Program Director of Emergency Medical Science, present the item. Dr. Kyle?
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez, we're here tonight to give you an update on a deficiency that has been noted by co-AEMSP for our Emergency Medical Sciences program under the direction of Mr. Scott Nelson and our Dean of Health Professions, Dr. David Pierce. What the deficiency that has been cited is that our program failed to reach the required certification exam pass rate and the employment rate of 70%. With your permission, sir, I'd like to ask Mr. Nelson to present a PowerPoint to you to let you know where we are and our progress for success.
Mr. Nelson?
Good evening. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Chair Herrera, members of the Board of Trustees, and President Rodriguez. My name is Scott Nelson. I'm the Paramedic Program Director, EMS Program Director here at Texas Southwest College. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the COA-EMSP is, a little bit about the accreditation process and certification process, and then tell you where we are. So we fall under the Committee on Accreditation of Educational Programs for Emergency Medical Services Professionals. And the mission of the COA-EMSP is to advance the quality of EMS education through accreditation. From a student perspective, we want to make sure that you have an understanding of what it takes for the students to become accredited. In order to become accredited, the student must have completed a program that is approved through the Texas Department of State Health Services, and COA-EMSP works hand in hand with Texas Fishes. In order to be eligible for the students to be certified in the state, they must take a paramedic program that's approved and take and pass both the National Registry of EMTs, paramedic, cognitive, and psychomotor exams in order to be eligible for that state certification. And beyond that, our program has to be accredited through the Committee on Accreditation of Educational Programs for Emergency Medical Services Professionals. And that falls under CAHEP, which is the Committee on the Accreditation of Allied Health Education Programs. So on September 17th of 2020, we received a letter from COA EMSP stating that the TSC Emergency Medical Sciences Program was deficient for standard V.A.4, so section 5.A.4. Based on the outcomes reported for 2018, the program did not meet one or more of the 3 required outcomes thresholds, requiring a result of 70% or greater. This was the program's first notice of failing to meet one or more of the 3 required outcomes thresholds. So you can see there that our NREMT or state written exam was at 25%. And just so you're aware, in Texas, they only accept the NREMT, the National Registry of EMTs exam. Our retention in the course was 100%, so we were good there. And our positive job placement rate was at 38.5%. The QI subcommittee will continue to monitor the annual report for programs not meeting any threshold for 3 consecutive years. Any program not meeting a threshold for 3 consecutive years may be recommended for probation. That's a direct quote out of the citation that we received. So where were we in 2018? Our National Registry paramedic exam and employment data. We had 13 graduates. Of those graduates, 12 took the exam. And the number of students that passed the exam on the first attempt at that time was 2. Our students they have 2 years to take and complete the written exam and the psychomotor exam. And they have up to 6 attempts to do that. If the students make it to 3 attempts and they're unsuccessful, they're required to demonstrate completion of a paramedic refresher course or paramedic refresher content in order to move forward and take those additional exam options. So we had a total of 5 students that had passed by the 3rd attempt. So with our total number of graduates passing the National Registry within the 12 months post-graduation, we actually had 3. That put us at the 25%. The number of students retained was 13. We had 100% there. And the number of students employed in EMS at the time that this report was submitted was 5. So we had so the bullet points on the bottom there, the asterisks. The total number of students passing by the 3rd attempt was 5. Of the remaining 7 students, we did track all of them. 1 passed on attempt number 5. 1 attempted only 1 time. 2 attempted twice. 1 student attempted, or 1 graduate attempted 3 times. 1 attempted 4, and 1 attempted 6 times. So that's kind of gives you an idea of where we were with those students. So what does this mean for us? As of now, of course, the citation was received September 17th. Our next annual report is due in July, and that will be for academic year 2019. There are no additional progress reports due regarding the citation. This is 2 years in the past, and these students are outside that 24-month window. If the program demonstrates compliance, the citation is cleared. So this is a quote from the letter. Again, the QI subcommittee will continue to monitor the annual report for programs not meeting any threshold for 3 consecutive years. Any program not meeting a threshold for 3 consecutive years may be recommended for probation. If that happens, what that means is that probationary accreditation is a temporary status of accreditation imposed by CAHEP upon the recommendation of COA EMSP when a program does not continue to meet CAHEP standards, but should be able to meet them within the specified time frame. So right now we're in continuing accreditation. We have not reached the probationary accreditation phase just yet. And if we do get to that point, we have the option the COA EMSP has the option to withhold our accreditation, or we could choose to voluntarily withdraw it. We're not there. So what did we do since then? So in 2018 and 2019, the program of study was modified at the suggestion of COA EMSP to better align with educational progress and the requirements of the National Registry. The final program high stakes exam, and this was you have to pass it or you don't move forward, has been updated and reviewed by program faculty and approved by the medical director. An instruction on best practices for test taking has been introduced, not just to this program, but to the whole health professions division. And during our capstone semester, our students practice taking tests over all subjects throughout the program study at a very high level of difficulty. So they're at the, if you're looking at Bloom's taxonomy, they're up in the highest level of critical thinking. So they're difficult. They require critical thinking and synthesis of information, much like the National Registry Cognitive Exam. Students receive instruction on reducing test anxiety, and that actually starts on day one of that capstone semester. Actually, it starts earlier than that because some of our students get stressed over taking tests. Additional time has been offered outside of class to allow students to review areas they feel are needed. And what we've done in 2020 and 2021, we identified some specific issues. One of those is test anxiety. So we have requested assistance from Student Services to discuss test-taking strategies with students. And sometimes it's nice getting that information from another voice. We're saying the same thing on how to relax before a test, but sometimes getting it from someone that's not their primary instructor is sometimes helpful for them to relax if they're hearing it again. We looked at the cost of the certification exam and the time lapse between graduation and taking the exam. So you may recall this board approved the fees to cover the cost of a voucher. So students are given a voucher at the end of the program once they show successful completion of all components of the paramedic program and given a finite time after the program completion to take that National Registry paramedic exam. Right now, that finite timeline is 45 days. They have to show me that they have registered for the exam. If they have not registered for the exam and taken it within that time frame, then we recall those students in to do further review. We offer remediation after unsuccessful exam attempts. So in the event that a graduate is unsuccessful and his or her first attempt at the exam, we provide tutoring to remediate the graduate in areas of low performance prior to subsequent exam attempts. And what we get from that is the National Registry tests in 6 areas, and the student doesn't get a grade per area. They simply get passing, they get near passing, or below passing. Those are the 3 criteria that the National Registry rates that on. We have, with this current cohort, included the flipped classroom model. And this modifies the lesson plans from a traditional lecture style, sort of a talking head, sage on the stage idea, to a more facilitated style. So our students are spending more time studying and explaining their understanding of each subject. And that allows us the time to include some more scenarios, some simulation, and we're working to make sure that the students are demonstrating that they understand the concepts that are being taught, not just parroting the responses back to us. We did find some other potential issues and solutions. When we looked at common content areas in which students are underperforming on the certification exam. So with that, the faculty are evaluating those areas of low performance and enhancing content presented during each semester to make sure that we are adding that enhancement to their content. The admissions criteria, right now we are reviewing the admissions criteria, and we're looking at best practices that have been implemented by other programs addressing the same standard deficiency. What have we done since September? I have contacted all past graduates that had not yet successfully passed the certification exam, and I invited them all to a review of all test content areas. So they've been invited to participate in a multi-week review program, focusing on those specific areas of lowest performance for those that recently tested. This is not me coming in saying, here's what you have to learn. It's me coming in and saying, what areas were you lacking, and let's see how we can enhance that. So it's not just me talking to them, it's also assisting them in developing a more solid study plan. So where do we stand for the next couple of years? So again, our next report will cover the 2019 students. In 2019, we had 16 graduates. So far, we've had 15 that attempted the written exam. The one that has not attempted the written exam, I can't get a hold of. I've tried to call, I've tried to email. They haven't taken the test, but we are not held against that. We're only held against those students that do attempt to take the written exam. The number of graduates that passed on that first attempt was 6. The number of graduates that passed by the third attempt so far has been 2 more. So we have a total of 8. The number of students that were retained through that program were 16, so we still had 100% there. And the number of students employed in EMS is 8. So that brings us from a 25% passing rate to a 50%, and from a 38.5% number of students employed to another 50%. In the 2020 numbers, so these are the students that graduated or completed last May, we had 12 graduates. We have 10 that have taken the test, and of those 10, 7 passed on the first attempt. None of them have yet taken the second attempt, so I don't have any further data on that. So we are at 70% for those that have taken that test so far for 2020. And the total number of students that are employed in EMS are those 7. So that is a quick overview. I shouldn't say quick. That is an overview of what we have done for the students up till now. And I'd like to think we have demonstrated some improvement over the last couple of years, but I'll entertain any questions that you've got.
Dr. Nelson, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. It's not Dr., just Mr., but thank you.
Okay, Mr. Nelson. First of all, let me congratulate you on the flipped classroom approach. I'm a strong proponent of the flipped classroom. The other thing that I wanted to ask is this exam timed? Do they have a certain amount of time that they need to finish it?
Yes, ma'am. I'm going to turn the presentation off because that was the last slide. So yes, the exam is timed. It is a computer adaptive test. So in that computer adaptive test, they got 2.5 hours to answer up to 150 questions. What tends to happen, because it's a computer adaptive test, and if you're not familiar with that, please bear with me as I explain it briefly. The students will all be asked a question sort of middle of the range, middle of the road in terms of difficulty of question. If they answer that question properly, they will be asked a more difficult question. And if they answer that properly, maybe another more difficult question until they reach what the system decides the student has demonstrated mastery. If the student is unsuccessful in that first question, they're dropped down a couple of levels, and then they're asked progressively more difficult questions until they either get to a point where they just cannot pass that section, or they have met that mastery level. So in that 150 minutes, in that 2.5 hours, they do have a time limit. And to date, of those students I talked about from 2018, only one of them had actually timed out. So he timed out on the last exam. I talked to him about it. He said that he just got so stressed, he totally vapor locked, was his term.
Coming from a program that tests students on a time, they have to take time exams. Our students have a very hard time taking time exams. And so one of the things that I suggest or recommend, or maybe you can take the ball and roll and do something with it, is benchmarking. Have you tried benchmarking the students?
We do, and in the course of our final semester, that capstone class, we do testing every week, and we do give them a time limit of about a minute per question, and we do that on purpose. It's a little bit less than what the students have for the National Registry exam, but we watch progressive improvement over the course of the 16 weeks before they take that final exam. So it's not exactly benchmarking, but we do hold them to that standard, and we do test them, and we can demonstrate some improvement.
That's where I was going with this. I think that helps them get accustomed as to how to time themselves when taking this exam. If you benchmark them, well, when I say benchmark it, with mine, we used to have to require a certain score before we allowed them to go ahead and test with the state. So, but it gives them the experience and the and relieves some of that anxiety after they've done it a few times of being rushed or not reading through the whole question, because their anxiety level is high. So sometimes because they skim over the question, they don't comprehend the question as to what it's really asking. So that's why I was just asking, Yeah,
we do that, and we spend time assuring that they understand how to read a test question. The National Registry questions have what has been described by some as a lot of fluff. So there's a lot of pieces to that question that are disparate pieces of information, asking that paramedic graduate to take those small pieces of information and combine it into either a diagnosis of the patient or what's the next step. So we spend quite a bit of time teaching them to read questions as well. And I've worked with the CPS program, Danny, oh my gosh. Thank you, Danny Perez. He and I work together quite a bit at helping these students learn to read those questions as well. So yes, thank you, ma'am. That's we do track that, and we do. Excellent.
We found that there were certain keywords that they could look for that just, they give it away, like the double negatives and things like that, so, no, but I'm glad. So thank you so much for being on top of all of this.
Thank you.
I also like to mention, Alejandro, since you bring in all that stuff.
We're getting a lot of feedback. I don't know who's.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who it is. I did ask the question.
I think it's you. I think it's in the. No.
I don't know who it is. Yeah, there was also an important factor to take into consideration. Mr. Nelson was doing two roles at the time, and so he was not a full-time instructor.
Mr. De Leon, would you take a minute? Mr. Hernandez, would you take where we're
I
getting?
think it's Mr. Zavaleta.
Chairman Herrera is Dr. Zavaleta needs to mute because we're getting a lot of feedback from his speakers. There you go.
So I was just wanting to inform, so Mr. Nelson was doing two jobs, and that also impacted the program. And at this point, he's back full-time with our students. So I think that everything that they're doing is going to, we're going to see the impact as soon as he has to report back to us. But he's back as a full-time instructor. And I think that also played a role in what happened to us with this program. But I think because they do benchmarks and they do stuff that helps our students, they've reached out to all of them. And so I think they will be successful in this program. So this item was for information purpose only, and so no action is required.
I have a question, if I may. You were getting feedback from me, from Oscar?
Yes, sir. We're getting feedback from your speaker.
Well, it's my new supersonic hearing aids. They're doing. I'm serious. That's what it is. Here's my question for Mr. Nelson. Mr. Nelson and board members, in the past, I have quite a bit of experience with this because we had several programs, I won't name them, in the past, which had problems with our graduates passing state exams or national exams. And we were able to resolve them by doing the following. We up the qualifications for entry into the program. We found that we were allowing students to enroll for the program who simply were not qualified. And once we changed that, it turned it around almost immediately. The second, and so I offer that to you. The second is, I wonder, are our instructors, are they permanent faculty members or full-time faculty members, or are they adjuncts?
Yes, sir. So the faculty for the paramedic portion of the program are full-time faculty.
Okay, and how many are there?
Myself and Gil Alcala, so there's two of us.
Okay, and my point, thank you. My point there is, I ask, and you don't need to answer this, but I wonder if our two faculty members are fully qualified and up to date with the material that they're instructing. I'll give you an example. I mentioned earlier in the meeting, you may have heard it, that for a degree in civil engineering from Texas Southmost College, I had to take drafting and surveying. And today, neither of those courses are required. So it may be that our instructors need to be upgraded. I'm not assuming that they're below average, but that's something we could consider by looking at the relationship between the areas that the students are not passing and the qualification of the instructors to teach that information. That concludes my comment.
Dr. Zavaleta, with that point, that's why I mentioned, I think that it's important to take the factor that Mr. Nelson was doing two jobs at the
I can't hear you, JJ.
Can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Dr. Zavaleta, it's important to note that Mr. Nelson was doing two jobs.
It looks like
Tony, you're muted. We can't hear you, Tony. You're muted.
It's feedback from the OWL camera in the
Can you hear
Gorgas
me now?
boardroom. Yeah.
You're muted, Dr. Sullivan.
Okay, thank you. Please continue, JJ. I want to hear what you had to say.
Dr. Zavaleta, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, I think it's the microphone. So in noting Mr. Nelson was doing two roles at the same time, that in my perspective had an impact of why those students were affected when taking those exams.
I agree with you.
I mean, I think Mr. Nelson is very well qualified, but when we start sharing several job duties, that affects the program. But I just wanted to make it clear that Mr. Nelson is now back full-time as an instructor, and that we will see that result when it's time for him to report back of where we stand with the program.
That's fine. I just pointed out those two items because I've found personally that in low-performing programs in the past, we were able to resolve the issue. That's all.
Any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. Nelson, one thing that I found in working with the students, if you try everything else, you may want to try just having them take some kind of a reading course, not a course per se, but some to refine their skills in reading. We really found out that comprehension was one of the things that was hindering them in passing these exams. Our students in the Valley sometimes think in Spanish and then try to translate. And when they have to do all of that while taking a timed exam, it's very difficult. So
yes, and that's very accurate. Am I on or off?
You're on, sir.
Accurate, Eva. And also my experience showed that Valley students do not have the same level of vocabulary that students in other areas of the state have. And that is our students, and I was one of them, at an extreme disadvantage.
that is also true. Mr. Nelson, one of the things that we also did was to develop some cards with just simple vocabulary, like Tony was saying, just all the vocabulary, put them on cards, and so that they can just drill themselves on the vocabulary, because it is so true that we've got a lot of things going against our students, have a lot of things going against them, and so if we can help them, with those little obstacles, especially with a timed exam, it's so hard.
I think it's time to move on. This is a non-action item. You guys can contact Dr. Rodriguez and give him your feedback. He'll relay it to Mr. Nelson. Next item on the agenda is item number 6E. Mr. De Leon.
Next item, consideration and possible action on creating a new Associates of Arts in Psychology with initial implementation in the spring of 2022. I call on Dr. Kyle, Vice President of Instruction, and Brian McCormick, Dean of Humanity, to present the item. Dr. Kyle.
Thank you, sir. Chair Herrera, Board of Trustee members, President Rodriguez, with your permission, I'd like to share my screen, and Dr. McCormick will take us through a brief overview of the proposed program. Is the correct screen showing?
It is.
Dr. McCormick.
Yes. Good evening, Chair Herrera and TSC board members and Dr. Rodriguez. And thank you, Dr. Kyle, for this opportunity to present this proposed Associate of Arts degree in psychology. This will be a brand new program in the humanities, a new program that will be one of the first we've had in a while. So I'm really excited about being able to offer this for our students. It will provide them an opportunity to move into a dynamic and rewarding career in psychology or a related field. And there's a wide array of different areas that a student can go into in psychology or with a psychology degree. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Kyle. So I would like to just basically talk about very briefly the proposed degree. Again, as Dr. Guisela mentioned in his presentation, this is part of and reflects in many ways a field of study that has been developed that we're building off of. So it's actually a kind of easy, it's an easy degree to put together because so much of the work the students will do will automatically transfer to a four-year university. I want to also just briefly go into the increasing numbers of students we're seeing both enrolling and transferring into other four-year degrees from TSC. I'll briefly discuss our faculty and some of the occupational projections that really make this a good time to present this degree for our students. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Kyle. So why now? As I mentioned, there is a new field of study in psychology that's offered by the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. It is a 18-unit field of study, which basically makes it very simple to basically take those 18 units and attain your degree, your associate degree in psychology. And as I mentioned earlier, we also have so many students going into these courses in this degree field overall. The degree will transfer into any four-year degree at a institution of higher learning in Texas automatically because it is part of the THECB field of study, either Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science. So it's a easy pathway, as I mentioned. The degree we're offering will also present TSC students with 3 new psychology courses that they can take toward this degree. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Kyle. So this is the degree as laid out and proposed. As you can see, the first year, the first 2 semesters, the students take general psychology and then 2 additional psychology courses in the spring semester. And then the second year, they take the remaining 3 psychology courses. All the other courses that are listed on this degree plan reflect in many ways our standard general education core courses that students would take even if they were doing a general studies degree, for example. The nice thing about this degree plan is students can essentially take many of these courses in high school at the dual credit level. So even before they get to TSC, many of their courses toward this degree can be taken and completed. Even the general psychology degree can be taken at the high school level, the 2301. So when they get to TSC, essentially, they would only have a handful of courses left to take in psychology. And as I will mention, we have really good enrollment in psychology. And since so many students are taking these courses, getting the overall degree really will require them just to take another couple courses to complete that degree field. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Kyle. Again, this is the field of study curriculum from the state of Texas, I mentioned. Psych 2301, lifespan growth and development, that's Psych 2314, Psych 2317 are already, the 2319 social psychology are already offered at TSC, and our students do really well in those courses. We have very high enrollment, and then the other 3 will be new courses that we will be offering at TSC with this degree plan. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Kyle. So this slide basically shows the number of students that are transferring to four-year institutions between fall of 2016 and spring of 2020. So obviously criminal justice is a really popular degree where students will transfer and get their four-year degree. But we were able to determine that a lot of our students are getting ahead of us and they're actually going into psychology. So, we're looking at about 15% of our students who go into psychology and get that four-year degree or a psychology related field. And so what we're doing now is, catching up to our students and being able to offer them this degree plan that will allow them to really undertake a more intensive study of their field before they go on to a four-year university. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Kyle. This slide, again, shows the increasing enrollment in psychology at TSC. These are the overall number of TSC courses we offer. We offer between 10 and 20 psychology courses. In any given semester, that number fluctuates based on sometimes the number of dual enrollment courses we offered. There's more dual enrollment in psychology in the spring, for example. But as you can see, from 2015 to 2020, we've seen almost a 2.5 times increase in the number of students sitting in courses in psychology at TSC. Last fall, we had over 1,000 students enrolled in psychology courses at TSC. Slight dip in 2020, but again, our enrollment continues to increase, and the spring 2020 dip reflected the remote instruction we went to, I think, because of the COVID issue. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Kyle. And this is our general psychology enrollment, and again, it reflects that steady demand in psychology. And so 2301 is one of the more popular courses for students at Texas Southmost College. Last year in fall and spring, we had approximately 600 students enrolled in psychology, general psychology, each semester. Now, all the students aren't going to go on and take all 6 psychology courses, but I think we generally see them taking more than 1, sometimes 2 or 3 psychology courses. And again, that underscores the popularity of this field and the tremendous amount of popular demand for this course at TSC for our students. And I would add that very successful. These are very successful courses for the most part at TSC as well. So our students have demonstrated an interest in the course. They do well in these courses. Our retention rates and our success rates have continued to show steady improvement over the years and semesters in these fields as well. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Kyle. As I mentioned, the number of sections we generally offer in psychology here, at least 15 sections of general psychology each semester, sometimes about 10, sometimes a little more in terms of dual enrollment. And then again, a whole range of other psychology courses that we offer that we're able to offer a number of sections. And I would say when I made this PowerPoint, it was before this semester started. And I know that in some of these other psychology classes like 2306, we're actually offering more courses now. So again, reflective of the increased demand for these courses at TSC. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Kyle. I would also add that dual enrollment is steady in terms of demand for psychology courses. BISD, Harlingen, San Benito, Harmony are all asking for psychology courses at the dual enrollment level. So we are offering again students an opportunity to get an early start in this area across the valley and many of our districts. So our faculty are pictured here. This is our full-time faculty, and I'm happy to say we have two of these faculty members are not only very popular, they both have PhDs in psychology. So they do an outstanding job of getting our students through their courses and really generating a tremendous amount of interest in the field of psychology. So we have Dr. Roby, Ms. Jill Machio, Ms. Jill Hernandez, Dr. Machio, and Mr. Christopher Pettit. These are all these instructors really are often overloaded in their courses because they have such great rapport with their students and just do a tremendous job for our students and getting them through their courses and generating interest as well. We also have a steady number of psychology adjuncts working in psychology at the high schools, and many of the adjuncts that we send to the high schools as well, about 6 or 7 currently working and delivering adjunct courses at TSC or in the school districts as well. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Kyle. So in terms of careers in psychology, it's as I said, a dynamic field. And the other thing I would say, it's obviously a rewarding field, but it's multifaceted. So there's so many different areas and career paths that people can go into with a psychology degree or background. So if I was to rattle off some of the areas that you can go into in terms of psychology that are associated with some of these fields here would include not only working in the area of mental health, but also in human resources, business careers, corrections, social work. So a whole slew of different fields that people can go into in terms of using this degree toward a career in some area that is either psychology or psychology related. So again, it's a great opportunity for our students. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Kyle. Overall employment of psychologists is projected to grow 3% nationally from 2019 to 2029. Now that's just psychologists, right? So as I said, there's so many other careers that we can talk about when we see students going into the psychology field. School counseling would be another perfect example of that. Mental health centers, social service agencies as well. In Texas, state occupational projections call for an average of 390 annual openings in counseling and over 800 annual openings in mental health and substance abuse over the next 8 years as well. Let's go to the next slide, Dr. Kyle. So again, this again is just more evidence of, you know, the tremendous opportunities that someone would have if they went into a psychology field. Counseling, school psychology, 11,000 plus new jobs are expected to be created by the year 2028 in the state of Texas, a 16% increase. Average annual openings of about 700 positions in this range of fields over the next few years. Next slide, Dr. Kyle, please. Again, this is different levels of employment projections at either across the country, in the state of Texas, in Cameron County, and as I mentioned, Lower Rio Grande Valley, 32%. And you know, one of the things I think that is really something that doesn't come out in the statistics is the fact that our students who go into this field, if they work in Texas, are providing the state people, graduates who are bilingual. And that is where you really see a shortfall in a field like psychology or some of these psychology careers. We can provide students who are bilingual, and there is such a huge demand in the mental health field for students who have that capacity as well. Okay, let's go to the annual wage slide. Obviously, it's a rewarding career, both for what you're able to accomplish in the field of psychology. It also pays very well. The average annual mean wage in Texas for a psychologist or a psychology-related field was in the ballpark of 70 to 80,000. So again, it's a career path that makes a lot of sense for our students as well in terms of remuneration and so on. So my favorite slide, we don't need any resources for this new degree. We have instructors on hand. We have a sizable adjunct pool. So I think we can get off to a really good start. We have the classroom capacity, the equipment, and what have you. So right now, we don't project any need in terms of resources, materials, equipment at this point for the foreseeable future by offering this degree at Texas Southmost College. And that completes my presentation, and thank you for the opportunity to present this degree for you.
And with that said, I make a motion to approve the proposed new Associates of Arts in Psychology. The initial implementation of the proposed degree is spring of 2022.
So move.
There is a motion by Mr. De Leon, a second by Ms. Alejandro.
Yes.
Motion by Mr. De Leon, second by Ms. Alejandro. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those
I had a
opposed?
question before you take a vote, please.
Okay.
Dr. Kyle. Dr. Kyle, is this a new direction in the coordinating board? For example, this is not new for us because what we've done in the past is offer associate's degrees, associate of arts degrees in psychology. in sociology and history and government and anything else. But now is it a new procedure to offer a degree in a specific discipline? Are we going to expect that we might want to do the same for sociology or government or history? How is that taking place in the state?
So they have, Dr. Zavaleta, that's a great question. They have actually at THECB opened up a number of field of studies within various disciplines. And so from our perspective, we not only look and see what will transfer to a four-year university, but if there are job openings and opportunities for our students once they get the four-year degree. So many of the institutions, the community colleges across the state, as I'm sure you are aware, have a number of Associate of Arts degrees in various disciplines. And so Texas Southmost College has a couple, but because of the high transfer rates of our students in psychology, we felt like this was a great place to start. We have the faculty, and there are job opportunities for our students.
I agree. I just wondered if it was a trend in the state because it wasn't done that way in the past.
The field of study is new, and Mr. Hernandez may be able to speak to that a little bit more, but we have quite a few field of studies that have opened up at the state level.
Okay, thank you.
There's a motion on the floor. There's a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Item 6F.
I have two ayes, three ayes.
Item 6F.
Are
Consideration
you
and
taking a vote again, Mr. Herrera? What are you doing? You didn't hear?
I'm taking a vote of who said aye.
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 3, 4, 5. All those opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item 6F. Consideration and possible action on approval of MOUs contingent on grant funding between Texas Southmost College, Brownsville Independent School District, and Communities in Schools. I call on Dr. Angelica Fuentes, Associate Vice President of Academic Success, to present the item. Dr. Fuentes.
Chairman Herrera, TSC Board of Trustees, and President Dr. Rodriguez. I'm here today to ask for your approval for a number of MOUs that would be contingent on a grant that we will get. As you know, TSC already has a partnership with BISD for our 21st Century Community and Learning Centers. We have 10 sites with BISD where we offer after-school programming. Well, we've been so successful, we would like another 10. So we are proposing for another 10 sites and the amount for a 5-year grant in the amount of $8.5 million. But in order to submit this proposal, we do need MOUs between ourselves, BISD, and Community in Schools, because one of the grant requirements is that we have a nonprofit organization partnership. I'm here to answer any questions that you have about these MOUs or the grants.
So with that said, I make a motion to approve the MOU.
Did you say that there are 10 additional?
We are applying for a grant to add 10 more additional sites. Yes.
Let's take a vote, Dr. Zavaleta, and then we'll have the discussion. There's an item, there's a motion on the floor by.
Let me finish the motion. So I make a motion to approve the MOUs between TSC, BISD, and CIS for the Nina M. Lowry 21st Century Community Learning Center Cycle 11 program contingent on grant being awarded.
There's a motion by Mr. De Leon. Is there a second?
A second.
I second that.
There's a second by Ms. Sines. All those, there's any discussion?
Second by Ms. Aldrete.
Second by Ms. Aldrete.
Being able to ask my question. I'm trying to ask my question. I want to know if potentially what the schools are, the 10 schools.
Yes, of course. So currently we have the 5 high schools with BISD and 5 middle schools. With this grant, we will get the remaining BISD high schools, 5 more middle schools, and we will go into 3 elementaries that are adjacent to 3 of the middle schools that we're reaching.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
It wasn't painful.
No.
Any other discussion? So there's a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
With that said, that concludes my report. Colleagues, this is my first being a chairing a committee, and it was one of the longest one, so I hope I did a good job. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. De Leon. You did a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful job.
Thank you, sir.
Next item is the Finance Committee. I will call on Ms. Garza to present the item.
Give me 1 second. I'm dealing with dogs and kids.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
The timing was just perfect. Finance Committee, here we go. The Finance Committee met and the Budget Committee met on Wednesday, January the 13th, 2021. Present were Ms. Eva Alejandro, my co-chair, myself, President Rodriguez, and other TSC administration and legal counsel. The committee discussed the following. Monthly financial statement report for the month of November 30th, 2020. And I will call on Mr. Carlos Pecero, Controller, and Dr. Figueroa, Vice President of Finance and Administration, to present the item. Mr. Pecero, welcome.
Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez, with your permission, I'll have Mr. Carlos Pecero, our Controller, present the financial statements for the month of November.
Thank you, Dr. Figueroa. With the board's permission, I'll share my screen for the presentation. We should have that. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Perfect. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, President Rodriguez, my name is Carlos Pecero and I am the Controller for TSC. I have for you the presentation of the monthly financial statements for the month ended November 30th, 2020. I'll be focusing on the November column for the remainder of the presentation. As a reminder, this report covers 3 funds that we adopt a budget for. And I'll begin with the first one, which is the Educational and General Fund. Here in the middle of the page, we have total revenue for the Education and General Fund of $7.2 million. In the middle of the page is where the expenditures for the transfers in and the budget amendments are in the middle of the page. At the bottom of the page, you have a grand total for the revenue for the month of November, as I mentioned, $7.2 million. On page 2 of the report is where we begin with the expenditures for the Education and General Fund. Here for the column of November, we have expenditures, a subtotal for salaries and wages of $1.4 million. That is followed by the benefits section, and we have a subtotal of $402,000 in expenditures for benefits. The bottom of page 2 is where the maintenance and operation category begins for the general fund. The items are detailed by object code, so you can see each of the object code descriptions there. They begin on this page, continue on the 3rd page of the report, all through this 3rd page. And then we have a subtotal on the 4th page where we have $1,001,586 as a subtotal for maintenance and operation in general fund. We go to the following page. For the month of November, we have a subtotal for the general institutional category. We have a subtotal of $95,000 there of expenditures in general fund. That is followed by the other category of $1,100, and then Towards the bottom of the page, you can see here for general fund, a grand total for expenditures for the month of November of $2,973,986. Moving on to the second fund that we present. This is the auxiliary fund, and this is in the same format where we have revenues at the top, followed by expenditures. So I'll begin at the middle of the page for the auxiliary fund. We have $34,992 in revenue for the month of November for the auxiliary fund. That's followed by the categories of salaries and wages, which is $69,000, benefits, which is $21,000. And on the following page, we have the detail again by object code for the auxiliary fund of maintenance and operation. The subtotal is here for the month of November, $21,386. The auxiliary fund total for expenditures, and that fund concludes here on this page. There's total expenditures, subtotal of $112,959. Moving on to the third and last fund that we present. This is our general obligation and revenue bond fund. We have revenues at the top, a subtotal at the middle of the page, $2,083,195 in revenue for the general obligation and revenue bond fund. That is followed by the expense categories, where we have $5,000 and $7,000 respectively, with a subtotal at the bottom of the page for expenditures for our GNO and revenue bonds of $12,000. That concludes the three sections that we have where we present budget to actual information for the month of November. The following page here that you see on your screen is the detail that we provide for our health insurance expenditure detail. We break that out onto two categories, where we have our general fund at the top, $575,000. And then we have our auxiliary fund summarized here at the bottom, $37,000. So those are the respective subtotals for those two funds, for those two types of expenditures. Moving on to the next page, we have our fund balance recap for the month of November. We have our unrestricted fund balance, which this number is coming from our audited financial statements, which is also a item that will be presented here shortly. The restricted amounts that are set aside for our encumbrances, for a subtotal of $42 million. Then shortly after that, we have our budget amendments detailed here with a subtotal, and then at the bottom of the page, a current fund balance of $34,086,248. So that's the info for the fund balance. The remaining pages on this report are our debt service schedules. This is a schedule with principal and interest detailed for the future payments that are required on our bonds. So we'll have a small table for each of our debt issuances, and each one will have their respective subtotals for principal and interest. That concludes my presentation on this report, Mr. Chairman. If there are any questions, I'd like to take the opportunity to answer them.
This is an item for information purposes only, and no action is required unless you all have questions. I'll go to the next item. 7B, update on grants awarded to Texas Southwest College for the month of December. And I'll call on Dr. Angelica Fuentes, Associate Vice President of Instruction for Academic Success, and Dr. Gisela Figueroa, Vice President of Finance and Administration, to present the item.
Chairman Herrera, TSC Board of Trustees, and Dr. Rodriguez, I'm here to report out on the month of November and December in regard of grant activity. I have one item to report. We received a grant from the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board in the amount of $112,500. The purpose of this grant is to help students re-enroll at TSC to complete a degree or a certificate within 12 months.
This also was an information item. If there's No questions. I would move on to 7C. Annual Finance Report and Audit for Texas Southmost College District for the fiscal year ending August 31st, 2020. And I'll call on Dr. Pesero, on Mr. Pesero and Dr. Figueroa to present the item.
Good afternoon again, Ms. Garza, Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez. Today, we will be presenting the annual financial report and audit for fiscal year 20. And we have our auditor's office, Mr. Amado Sanchez, and he will be presenting this item for the board. Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to be presenting the auditor's report. And for that, you will find the report on page number 1. In this report, as you can see, we're auditing the financial statements for the Texas Southmost College for the year ending August 31st, 2020. As you can see in the second paragraph, the main responsibility of the main responsibility for this report is due to the college. Every number, every note, every percentage that you see in here is the responsibility of management, which is the college. As you can see in the next paragraph, our responsibility as auditors is to obtain evidence and test it and provide an opinion based on what we receive. We must obtain enough evidence, able to provide an opinion, and we did receive enough documentation from the district. And in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. What that means is that the TSC is receiving an unmodified opinion. An unmodified opinion is also known as a clean opinion. It's a good opinion and is the best opinion an entity can receive. So that is an opinion that the college earned by doing their due diligence throughout the year and having all the documentation ready for us to do the audit. Now we're going to review some of the financial numbers. And for that, we're going to go to page number 15. As you can see in the heading, this is the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. This is otherwise known as a profit and loss or an income statement. If you can scroll down a little bit, we can see the combination between both operating revenues, which is 9.8, and a little below that, we're going to see the non-operating revenues, which is 15.6. If we combine both operating and non-operating, we have a total of $60.4 million in revenues. The expenses, as you can see, is $62.3 million. What that means is that you have as you can see right there, you have a decrease in net position. A decrease in net position is otherwise known as like your net income or your net loss. In this case, it is a net loss of 1.8 million. So in the bottom, you see that the net position at the beginning of the year was 144 million. And based on that change, the net position at the end is 142.1 million. Your net position is like your equity if this was a business. So your equity decreased by $1.8 million. Now I'm going to go back to the expenses. So as you can see, your expenses are 62.3 million. And the reason I'm going back is because right now we recommend to keep in mind the days of operations for every business, especially because of the times that we're living. You don't know if there's going to be an emergency where the students are not going to be able to pay their tuition, or if you're not going to receive funding from the state, or whatever reason, you want to keep monitoring your days of operations. And the way we do that is that you get your daily cost, and to get your daily cost, you get your 62.3 million. We divide that by 365 days, and it gives you roughly $170,000. That's how much it costs the district to operate every single day, $170,000. So if you want to know how long is it going to take you for you to run out of cash if you were to use all your equity, we're going to go back to page number 14, which is your statement of net position, otherwise known as your balance sheet. And here we have, this is where you have your assets, your liabilities, and what remains when we subtract your liabilities from your assets is your net position. As I mentioned, this is kind of like your equity. And we're going to look at the unrestricted, as you're going to see towards the bottom. The reason we use unrestricted is because if you had to use it, this is the only net position that you can use. So you have $40.5 million. Remember, your daily cost is $170,000. So if you want to know how long it will take you to run out of this unrestricted net position, it will take you 237 days. We normally, in normal circumstances, we recommend 60 to 90. At this moment, we're recommending more than that, just because there's more uncertainty than in other years. But you're obviously in a very good position at 237 days of operations. So we just recommend for you to continue monitoring this ratio, so it doesn't start dropping later on. Now, throughout the audit, even though we were not engaged to do an internal control audit or a compliance audit, we did review your internal controls. We did look for compliance. And while we were reviewing that, we didn't find any instances of non-compliance. We didn't find any instances of lack of controls. Also, I want to take you to the schedule of expenditures of federal awards, which is on page 60. Here, you're going to be able to see all the grants that the district received. And it gives you an idea of everything that you received. And as you can see on the bottom, you receive $1.2 million for COVID-related expenses. Now, if you go to page 68, on page 68, if you want to recap what I'm going through, this is your schedule of findings and question calls. So again, if you want to go back and recap what I mentioned, here it tells you that the auditor's report was unmodified, that there was no material weaknesses, that there were not significant deficiencies. And if you scroll down, it also says that the district qualifies as a low-risk audit. So you can see that right there. And this is where you can kind of recap my presentation. And with that, I'm going to conclude my presentation. I want to thank Dr. Figueroa and Mr. Pesero for all their help throughout the audit. We normally, this year has been a difficult year for our clients and for ourselves to perform the audit, because we have to do it in-house, and instead of going to the district, we have to work from home and things like that. But we were able to receive everything that we needed, and based on that, you receive a non-modified opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Sanchez. Thank you, Dr. Figueroa. I want to thank the team for doing a great job in getting these audit results. If there's any questions from the board.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Yes.
So we're in good standing, everything is good. What you found was good. Correct, Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, that is correct.
Anything we should be concerned about?
No, I mean, the only thing is that you did have a decrease in net position, which is actually in this kind of year is normal. So it's just something for you to continue reviewing every month, which I'm sure you're doing, just to make sure that if there's any adjustments that you have to make, that you do that on a regular basis.
Thank you so much.
Okay, this was information. With that, I will go to the next item, 7D, Annual Investment Report for Fiscal Year and 2020. And I'll call on Mr. Pesero, Controller, and Dr. Figueroa to present the item.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. Chairman Herrera, members of the board, President Rodriguez. I will have Mr. Carlos Pesero, Controller, present the annual financial report, investment report.
Thank you, Dr. Figueroa. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, President Rodriguez, the item you have before you The Public Funds Investment Act requires the presentation of an annual investment report to the governing body and to the state auditor's office. The categories presented and the format of the report, which you'll see in just a bit, were prepared in accordance with those reporting requirements. This report covers a period from September 1st through August 31st of 2020. So with your permission, I'll present that report and I'll share my screen. Is that visible to everyone?
Yes.
Perfect. So this format is used by all community colleges. We have to follow this specific format of reporting the investments that we carry at year end at their market value. The first number that we have, it's a 2-page report, and there's numbers at the top of the first page, which is where our publicly traded equity and similar investments are carried. There's $228,940 in this category. The remainder of this page is do not have any items populated in it, but at the bottom of the second page, we have the remaining categories, which are our public funds investment pools at 7.2 million, our certificates of deposit at 41.3 million, and our cash in bank at 21.6 million. So we take all those categories, sum them up, we have a total of $70,491,673. That's as complicated as the report gets, and as long as we send this off, we meet those compliance requirements. And with that, concludes my presentation, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that is an information item only. If there's no questions, I will move on to 7D, consideration and possible action on contract extension for investment advisor services. And I'll call on Dr. Figueroa, Vice President of Finance and Administration, to present the item.
Ms. Garza, I think you skipped 7E.
Did I?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I did. Okay. Did I? Yeah.
Yes.
The quarterly investment report. I saw investment. Okay, let's go back to 7E. First quarter investment report for fiscal year 2021. And I'll call back on Mr. Pesero to present the item.
Thank you, Madam. Mrs. Garza, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, President Rodriguez, last one for y'all from my presentations. I'll keep it brief. Before you have the investment report for the first quarter in fiscal year 21. This quarterly report runs from September 1st through November 30th. And the format of the report is similar to the ones you've seen in prior quarters, where we have a summary table that's at the top of page 1. Am I sharing my screen?
No.
I got too excited there. Let's see. I start talking about this stuff and forget it. Can everybody see my
Yes,
screen?
we can now.
Okay, perfect. As I was mentioning, it's a 5-page report, and all 5 pages are summarized at the top of page 1 here with 5 categories on this table at the top of the page. We have the respective balances for each of the categories that are detailed in the subsequent pages. And for comparative purposes, I included the fourth quarter from the prior fiscal year, so we could compare to the activity that we have in this first quarter in fiscal year 21. The majority of our investments are made up of either certificates of deposits, as you can see here, or cash in bank, or on the second page, where we can see the items from Logic. So these categories were all sum and then be summarized up here. So I'll briefly go over this so that we don't have to go in through all that detail. For the current funds, the first quarter, we have a total of $74,549,050. For our loan funds category, for this first quarter, we have $68,907. For our endowment and similar funds category, we have $3,452,907. For plant funds, we have $12,523,886. And lastly, for our agency funds category, we have $11,557. So we can see here the total that we're carrying in cash and investments as $90,606,307 as a subtotal for this quarter, with the interest earned of $197,944 respective for that quarter. That's as complicated as it gets for this one as well. Mr. Chairman, unless there's any questions, I'd like to try and answer those.
We like to see gains of 190-something thousand. But anyway, this was an information item as well. If there's no questions, I'll go to 7F. Consideration and possible action on contract extension for investment advisor services. And I'll call on Dr. Figueroa to present the item. Dr. Figueroa?
Yes, ma'am. With your permission, Chairman Herrera, I'll share my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes. I am.
Okay. This it's a follow-up on the prior item. As you might recall, in 2018, we went out on RFP for investment services. And this is a contract that is up for renewal. This contract was not aligned with our fiscal year. And today we're asking the board to allow us to propose a contract extension for the remainder of this fiscal year to align these services with our 8/31 end of the fiscal year. As Mr. Presedo mentioned earlier, the Public Fund Investment Act is what governs our investments and how we manage the funds of the district. As you might recall, we went for, as I mentioned earlier, 3 years ago, on 2018 for an RFP for the investment advisor services. This is the company that it's been helping us to shape the investments and to have those returns that we're seeing now. They keep up with all of our ensuring that we follow everything to the T of the law, that all of our paperwork with the different banking institution, it's in check, but they don't have access to our funds. We are the only ones that can make the decision. So they never possess any of our money nor make any decisions. All of their services are advisory in nature.
Okay.
The proposal that we have is that you approve us to continue this contract until the end of the fiscal year, which is August 31st, 2021.
The board, Ms. Alejandra and I met, we discussed this, and I'm going to use Mr. Herrera's famous saying, we beat this down and we scrutinize it and we recommend to award RFP 21-03 for campus Vending. And I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong thing again.
Ms. Garza, please. I
am just so excited to be in a committee to approve the extension of the Valley Consulting. Am I in the right item? Yes, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Until August 31st, 2021, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract as presented.
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion. Well, I made the motion. So I have a second.
That's what I meant. Sorry.
The motion by Ms. Garza, but she didn't make a motion. She recommended. So is that a motion, Ms. Garza?
Yes, I said yes, I did, Mr. Herrera.
Okay. There's a motion by Ms. Garza and a second by
me.
Mr. De Leon.
Mr. De Leon. Any discussion? If no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, now we're on 7G.
G.
Consideration and possible action on award IFP 21-03 for campus vending machine services. And I'll call on Dr. Figueroa to present the item.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. With your permission, I'll start sharing my screen. This is RFP 2103, Campus Vending Machine Services. This is the first time that in the district we go out for an RFP for vending services. In the past, we had made the contract since the amount of revenue that we receive is under the threshold that the board approves, which is the 25,000. But the administration, discussing with President Rodriguez and the team, we decided to go out for bids on the vending services to see if we had some competition, give opportunity to other vendors to possibly bid onto these services. I want to remind everybody that this is more of a service to our students. Vending services provides Cokes and snacks for our students. As you might know, this year is a little bit unprecedented where the majority of our students are not here in the campus with us. So the traffic in the vending machine has decreased drastically. And although we send out 138 invitations, everybody that is registered within the state with us, we send an invitation to participate in this RFP. We only received one proposal for this. The proposal is from the incumbent Central Vending Services, and they gave us a proposal with two different options. The two options, one include a 5-year and a 10-year contract. We discussed this during the committee. We went back to the vendor and they're offering us a 5-year possible contract with the 26% gross sales royalty plus $100 a month. This is in a contract, original contract will be for 18 months, and that is to align it with our fiscal year. After that, on a yearly renewal basis, and with a 60-day cancellation notice at any time. So even within the 18-month contract, we'll be able to do this cancellation. The RFP criteria that we utilize is the normal criteria we use for RFPs. And this is not costing anything to us. Again, it's more of a service to our student, but we do generate some revenue. The revenue that we generated in the past, it averages between, this past year was about $7,000, but it's declining because there's not a lot of students on campus. So we expect that if we have students back on campus, the revenue that we will be bringing to the district is probably around 10 or 12,000, with the exception of this year, that it's probably going to be a lot less since there's not the same amount of traffic on the students on campus. Are there any questions for me?
I have a question.
We discussed this and with Dr. Figueroa and Ms. Alejandro, and being that there was no other vendors willing to take it, I think we said we would go month to month or maybe for a year. We would talk about it because maybe after the pandemic, we can go for another RFQ. That's it, right? Dr. Figueroa?
Yes, that's what was discussed. But the vendor asked if we can have an 18-month contract, but it does have a 60-day cancellation clause. So even within those 18 months with the 60-day notice, we can cancel the contract if there is a need or willingness to do that. They need some type of assurance because they have the number of machines invested in the campus. So that's why they're requesting the 18 months.
So your recommendation is to extend it for 18 months?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to award the RFP 21-03 to Campus Vending Machine Services to Central Vending Machines and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the contract. That's my motion.
There's a motion by Ms. Garza. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Dr. Zavaleta. All those in favor, say any discussion?
Yes, I have several questions.
Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor.
Yes,
My question is, in the contract.
Just a second. Just a second, Dr. Zavaleta. Mr. De Leon is having a about to discuss something. He beat you to the punch.
Dr. Figueroa, so in your timeline where you put that the RFP was advertised in the newspaper, can we consider that the timeline that you put there from November 18 to, was it to December 25th? Are we using the Brownsville Herald?
Yes, sir. The Brownsville, we are required to post in the paper twice. So the two dates that we posted on the newspaper was November 18 and November 25th.
So my question to you, and I don't know who reads the newspaper, that particular newspaper. Would it be a problem if we contacted vendors? Now, you said that you sent out 138 invitations.
That is
those
correct.
Invitations goes to who?
So,
Go ahead.
yes. So by law, our process requires us to post the RFP in the newspaper. In addition to that, we reach out to any vendors that are listed, one in our vendor database that offers that type of service, and anyone registered with the state on the CMBL list, on the central business.
Yeah, so they get like an invite from us saying
They
that
get-
they do, okay.
Yes, we also posted on our website and we advertise on Facebook, on our Facebook page. Anytime that we have an RFP, that's the normal process that we use for all of our RFPs.
And then my next question, you talk about figures, but these figures are assumed figures. So in the past, Dr. Rodriguez, I've asked you for cost analysis. I think it's important for us to understand how much revenue comes in, how much, it's given out. And then I don't understand in your slide where it says the royalty installment monthly. What does that mean? Are they giving us money or are we giving them money?
They're giving us a royalty payment based on the sales, the gross sales. So they are giving us $100 royalty installment. That is despite of any sales, and then 26% of the gross sales.
And is that per item machine or just a one-time amount?
That is on monthly basis. It's a percentage of the total sales on the different machines that we have on campus. Currently, we have 10 machines.
So do you think that maybe in the future, when we come back on the 18-month renewal for this company, that you give me a cost analysis? I want to see how much money is coming in. I mean, you don't ever put it in a slide, and I don't understand. I would like to see those figures so all of us can see what this company is providing for us and what we're getting out of it. So Dr. Rodriguez, I've asked for it for some items in the past, and I never seem to get it. And I'm going on 3 years sitting in this board, and I don't see a cost analysis. I mean, maybe the rest of the board might not want it, but I want to see it. So I can make a decision.
If I may, Mr. Herrera, because I'm in this committee, the bookkeeping is done by the vending company. We don't do the bookkeeping. We don't check how many potato chips come into the vending machine and how many sodas go out.
I'm not talking about the bookkeeping. I'm talking about how much money is given. So Dr. Figueroa just said last year was 7,000. Ms. Garza, would you know the prior year amount or the prior year to that? I want to see those amounts. I don't know how much money this company is generating for our entity. Those are the figures that I want to see.
Yes, sir. I apologize for that. For fiscal year 17, the total revenue that the district received was $10,708 with 71 cents. For fiscal year 18, it was $11,853 with 39 cents. For fiscal year 19, it was $7,611 with 51 cents. The average revenue per year is about $10,057.
But you have those figures. I don't see them. So if you
Yes,
can
sir.
include them next time, I would appreciate it. But
Will do, sir.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Dr. Salazar?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. Dr. Figueroa, do we have a clause in the contract which holds us harmless from if there's a lawsuit or problem, they find a cockroach in the soda or something, can we be sued or are we held harmless? You know.
Anyone can sue if they wish to do that. We cannot prevent anyone from suing, but no,
do
sir.
is there a clause in the contract which holds us harmless?
There is a clause in the contract. There is an out clause, and we are also covered by the tort law, but Mr. Peña might be able to define that in more detail.
Yeah, the vending contract has numerous clauses, and right now I don't have that in front of me, Dr. Zavaleta, but I'll make sure that we have a whole harmless clause in there.
I simply want to, thank you, do that. Please do that. I want to know if we have, at a minimum, some sort of protection.
Well, we have protection under Texas law as well, but it doesn't hurt to have that in there either.
All right. Okay, good. Thank you. And let's see. Well, I forgot my second question, so I withdraw.
If there's any other questions, I would now ask for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item number 7H, consideration and possible action on award RFP 21-04 for windstorm and hail insurance. And I'll call on Mr. Jaime Salazar, Executive Director of Environmental Health, Safety, and Risk Management, and Dr. Cela Figueroa to present the item.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Salazar will do the honors of presenting this item.
Great, thank you.
The honors.
The board.
Yes.
President Rodriguez, administration, thanks for allowing me an opportunity to present to you all this evening. If you allow, I will share my screen. There we go. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So as Dr. Figueroa mentioned, and Ms. Garza, we're presenting RFP 21-04 for windstorm and hail insurance for Texas Southmost College. As usual, here's the RFP timeline. As you can see, we started this process back in December through this evening as we're making a recommendation to our Board of Trustees. An RFP description of services, as you can see, we went through the three major buckets there, all-inclusive and TWIA. All-inclusive, TWIA, and excess wind. The all-inclusive limits of insurance are at the bottom there. Our RFP evaluation committee included Mr. De La Fuente, Mr. Ponce, Mr. Pesero, myself. List here for you to view as well the RFP pricing tabulation. As you can see, we had the two respondents, one of them being the incumbent. Proposed premiums are down below in the shade of green. And the policy period that we're looking at is from February the 1st, 2021 through March 31st, 2022. The RFP evaluation criteria is similar to what we've used with other insurances in and about. Continuation of those criteria items. And the budget and financial impact is that this expense will be coming from the approved 2020-21 budget. Let me try that again. 2020-2021 budget. There we go. And our subsequent recommendation is as listed.
Okay, the recommendation was, and I make a motion to award the RFP, don't take it away, 2104 for windstorm and hail insurance.
Yeah.
In the amount. So are we putting the amount in here?
We have to.
Well, okay. Let me start my motion again. To award the RFP 21-4 for Windstorm and Hail Insurance to Shepherd Walton King, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute in the amount. Okay, tell me the amount.
$604,365.
Okay, I don't have-
604,000.
and $4,000.
$365. 65.
Okay, leave it there, please. Total amount of $600,000 for $365, and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the order, the purchase order.
There is a motion by Ms. Garza. Is there a second?
Yes, me.
Mr.
Yeah, a second by Mr. De Leon.
Any discussion? No discussion. I will take a vote. All those in favor signify by
Dr.
saying
Zavaleta?
Aye.
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 Dr.
Dr. Zavaleta?
You're on mute, Dr. Zavaleta.
Well, I didn't do it. Somebody else over here did it. I want to know how much we're insured for. I know what it's going to cost us, but what is the amount that we're insured for? Is there an upper limit?
Yes, it's an all-inclusive policy. It's $230,686,497.
Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye, including you, Dr. Zavaleta. All those opposed, motion carries. Next item. Ms. Garza, you're on mute. You're still on mute.
Mute it.
Okay. Someone's muting you.
Somebody's muting me. Okay. Am I on?
You're on.
Yes.
I'm pressing too fast, I think. 7I, consideration and possible action on award RFP 21-06 for medical stimulation mannequins. And I'll call on Dr. Angelica Fuentes, Associate Vice President of Instruction Academic Services, and Dr. David Pierce, Dean of Health Professions.
Good afternoon again. Mr. Herrera, Chairman Herrera, TSC Board of Trustees, and Dr. Rodriguez. It's getting late.
It's late. We're tired.
I'm here today to request for consideration and possible action on award RFP 2106 for medical simulation mannequins. These mannequins are to support the instruction in our Associate of Degree Nursing program. I have a presentation. You will? I'd like to share my screen. I have Dr. David Pierce, the Dean of Health Professions, with me, as well as Ms. Mary Beth, the Director of Associate Degree Nursing, and of course, with her support, Dr. Misela Figueroa. Here is the RFP timeline. The scope of work, as you know, as part of the ADN program, students are required to complete clinical experiences. With the issue with COVID and the limited clinical space, these mannequins would help students fulfill the required hours of clinical experiences with these mid-fidelity mannequins. Again, the Texas Board of Nursing has allowed for clinical experiences to be fulfilled by simulation. We definitely have the space, and now we'll have the equipment. Here's just graphics of the equipment. I have Ms. Beth Kasprison here if you have any questions regarding the equipment.
Are these human size?
I'm sorry?
Are they like human size or?
Yes, sir. They are human size. Ms. Kasprison, would you like to review what the mannequins can offer us?
Sure. Good evening, Board of Trustees, President Rodriguez. The mannequins are life size. These are the size of an average adult. The mannequins will allow us to do any skills or any learning that we would do on humans in our skills lab.
The evaluation committee consisted of Ms. Linda Hinojosa, Mary Beth Kasparison, and Mr. Scott Nelson. Here's the RFP pricing tabulation. We went with Healthcare Incorporated. Here's the RFP evaluation criteria, which is the traditional criteria that we have followed in the past. These expenses will be coming 100% from a grant that we received called the Nursing Innovation Support Clinical Learning Experiences. And again, this would have us purchase the mannequins along with professional development for the instructors and the software, the simulation software.
And that is your recommendation, Dr. Fuentes?
Yes, ma'am. Is our recommendation to go with CAE Healthcare in the amount of $61,910.
Okay, so my motion is to award RFP 21-06 for medical stimulation mannequins to CAE Healthcare in the amount of $61,910 and authorize President Rodriguez to execute the purchase order contracts as presented.
There's a motion by Ms. Herrera. Is there a second? I can't hear you.
Oh, I made a second. I made a
Mr.
motion.
Leon has a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Any discussion? I apologize. Any discussion on this item?
Okay.
Then all those opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that concludes my long report. Thank you very much for your attention.
Not as long as Mr. Leon's.
I'm next.
I am muted.
You're on, Doctor.
Okay, the Student Services Committee met on Monday, January 18th. Present were Chair Herrera, Ms. Aldrete, myself, President Rodriguez, and other members of the TSC administration and staff, legal counsel as well. The committee discussed a single item I'm happy to report. 8A, presentation of the Department of Education's Office of Federal Student Aid Program Review. And I'll call upon Luis Villarreal. Is he there? He certainly is.
I certainly am.
Give us the short version.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chairman Herrera, Board of Trustees, President Rodriguez. With your permission, I will not be sharing my screen with you this afternoon. The item before you is an information-only item regarding a program review conducted by the Department of Education here at Texas Southmost College. Assisting me tonight will be Vanessa Vasquez, the Executive Director of Enrollment and Academic Services, who's doing a great job, by the way. Oscar Hernandez, Executive Director of Institutional Research and Compliance, also great. And Dr. Leonor Hernandez, Coordinator of Sponsored Programs, Grants, and Contracts. They're here to keep me honest, make sure that I report accurately, and correct me if I make any mistakes. So from March 18th through 22nd, 2019, the U.S. Department of Education's Office of Federal Student Aid conducted a review of TSC's administration of programs authorized pursuant to Title IV of the Higher Education Act of 1965. So in terms that are more colloquial, what that means is the DOA visited on site in March of 2019 to basically do a review of our financial aid department, their processes, operating procedures regarding how we disperse federal aid funds to our students, right? They do that by requesting information from us that we provide to them regarding data that resides in our student information system, which you know is Colleague, and or by requesting documentation that supports our processes to disperse those funds, or otherwise show that we have the right standard operating procedures in place in compliance with the disbursement itself, right? The reviewers identified a sample of 30 different files to review for the fiscal years 2017-18, which is for us fiscal year 18, and 2018-19, which is fiscal year 19. So be aware that at least one of those years was prior to Dr. Rodriguez's arrival. And by the way, we did a little research. This is the first time we've had such a review since the separation, to the best of my knowledge. I also want to point out that this review has nothing to do with our accreditation or anything like that. This is just a program review of financial aid. Like any other program review, the findings associated with that review have as much to do with what we provide them as what we do not provide them. And I will say more about that in a little bit. But as a point of order, the DOE felt that they were very complimentary to us at the time of the review regarding our cooperation and courtesies provided to them. I want to give a little context about financial aid, and Vanessa can correct me where I'm wrong, but TSC dispersed more than $14 million in federal aid, Title IV funds, to our students in 2019. Right? To give you some context. I don't have the number for 2018, but I'm sure it was very similar since we were very heavy in financial aid disbursement. So students, right, they apply for financial aid by filling out a FAFSA, which is a free application for federal student aid, right? That begins the process. The FAFSA has tax information on there. This tax information will ultimately say how much their family contribution can be in order to pay towards their college tuition and fees, etc. Excuse me. Once that FAFSA was submitted, the financial aid department, right, runs processes and does the work to determine how much federal aid is actually going to go to the student, because they may, in some cases, be able to pay nothing, right? They may have zero family contribution, right? That aid gets deposited into a student account in our colleague system, and then the aid is basically dispensed to pay the tuition and the fees, etc. If we had room and board, it would do that as well, but we don't have room and board. Sometimes those disbursements occur more than once. And that's because we allocate, for example, $500 for a book allocation to the students so they can start buying their books while the rest of the financial aid is tabulated, right? Any credit balance after tuition and fees has been paid has to be paid to the student or the parents basically within 14 days of the first day of class. If we disperse it some number of days after that, then we disperse it 14 days from that date. But it's usually 14 days from the first day of class, right? So that disbursement actually is automated. The colleague system talks to a system called the Common Origination and Disbursement System with the Department of Education, which is abbreviated as COD. So colleague then lets the Department of Education know by transmitting batch files through the COD how we're dispersing our funds and when we're dispersing our funds, okay? So with that, right, the dispersal of federal aid comes with certain responsibilities associated requirements, some in which you might expect and some in which you might not. The intention of the program review, right, is to validate our compliance with those administrative responsibilities and to bring us into compliance where we are not with statutes and regulations related to the dispersal of funds, right? In my opinion, program reviews are a very good thing, right? Because they keep us honest and they provide an external validation and vetting of what we do. But I understand that not everybody feels that way because it can bring to light deficiencies in your program, right? And that can be scary, right? So remember where I started, the actual review occurred in March of 2019. The program report about that visit was not issued to Texas South Post until September 4th, 2020, which is roughly a year and a half later, 1.5 years after the visit by the Department of Education reviewers. Yeah, I mean, it's worth noting that we've had a lot of change in the last year and a half, if you haven't noticed, not the least of which is we have a different financial aid director and the vice president of student services has moved on and we've had turnover, et cetera, et cetera. I would even point out that the IT department is different from when the Department of Education was here, right? We switched managed services companies for IT, and why that is important, I think ultimately is captured by the way we're responding to the review, and I'll get to that. But basically, the bottom line is that, as I mentioned, a lot of these reviews are the product of what we tell them or don't tell them. And so what I'm trying to say is that what we told them a year and a half ago may not have been completely accurate either, right? So we're making corrections to some of that. In the report, there were several areas of noncompliance. In fact, this manifested in 12 separate findings that were delivered to us in the report. Now, what happens after we receive the report is that we have to respond in writing with any supporting documentation about whether we agree with the findings or disagree with the findings. And if we agree, what are we going to do about it to rectify the situation? Okay. So again, there were 12 different findings. We have a deadline of February 15th of this year to 2021 to respond to 11 of the 12 findings. There is one finding that they're giving us more time on because, frankly, it requires a lot more time and effort than the other 11, and that we're given until March 15th to do that. So basically, February 15th for 11, March 15th for the 12th. In September of 2020, Dr. Rodriguez wasted no time convening the cabinet to discuss the report and plan and create a plan of action. Excuse me. We convened a task force in early October to start researching and assessing and regarding the data that's involved in the findings, right? The task force was comprised of members from the Student Services Department, including financial aid, of course, but also the finance department, who is responsible for some of the reporting and disbursement. The Office of Institutional Planning, Research and Effectiveness, led by Mr. Hernandez, right, because he does a lot of reporting. Information Technology Department, because we help manage, obviously, the data. And even the Risk Management and Security Department, headed by Mr. Salazar, who is also with us tonight, because believe it or not, as I said before, in some ways, the requirements for managing the disbursement of funds touches some things you might not expect. And one, for example, one of those things is an annual security report. The Department of Education requires that anybody they're giving money to give out to their students has an annual security report that is communicated to students about all of the different things, like with the Clery Act and so on, that might be defined as a risk or something like that on the campus, right? You may recall that 2 years ago, year and a half ago, we were in a completely different posture when it comes to annual security reports and our DPS situation. With the advent of Mr. Salazar, we now have an annual security report, which is part of our response to the Department of Education. And that's one example. We also have to have a drug and alcohol policy that was not in place at the time of the review, or at least wasn't satisfactory. That is being rewritten as part of our response to the Department of Education, right? So we've been meeting on a weekly basis. We've also had to have, besides the assessment, research, and data vetting that we've had to do, data comparisons, et cetera, which you might consider like a desk audit of the data. We've spoken with the Department of Education several times through the process. We've also spoken to the National Clearinghouse, which plays a part in our financial aid processes, National Direct Student Loan staff, et cetera. I mean, you name it, we've had conversations. Parties in our task force have had conversations to make sure that we understand the findings and that our responses are appropriate and so on. In either case, we have completed narrative responses for 8 of the 12 findings, and 100%. So we are confident in our response. I see 3 of the other findings, we're about 90% done, which means we've done all the research. We have our response in place. We just need to write the narrative. And then the 12th one, which is the one we're allotted more time for, that's actually finding number 10, is about 80% complete. That one is a little more complicated, and it involves some of the system glitches we may have encountered with some of these other agencies. I'll give you an example of the couple of the things. I don't want to go through the whole report at this time because our narrative response to date is over 200 pages, just so you know. Plus, our narrative response also includes a lot of student data, which we cannot present in this format because of the FERPA violation potentially, right? But I will say this, for example, one of the findings was that we were using financial aid funds to pay for student parking permits, $60 parking permits, okay? There's nothing wrong with paying for $60 parking permits with the fees after we paid tuition and so on. It's a fee. The problem is we were supposed to get the written authorization from these students about the $60 parking permit. We were getting verbal authorization from the students. So we have corrected that in our standard operating procedure, and now we will not do that in the future, and we move on. Not all the findings are that simple, but for example, one of the findings literally involved one student where it seemed like we may not have refunded the student or cleared all the student funds back to that student in a timely fashion, right? Some of the other are basic. Some of these involve us doing research with the data. Some of them are literally just writing standard operating procedures that we didn't have before, right? So we have the annual security report. We have the drug policies. We feel very confident that our narrative responses are going to be effective in terms of a response to the DOE. And I'm sure there's more to come. It may be, once we turn in the report, in February and March, once we complete our response, It could be 60 days, it could be 6 months, it could be a year before we get a final report back from the Department of Education. There could be repercussions, there may not be repercussions. In most of these cases, we find, I would say in several of these cases, we've actually said that we do not agree with the finding, and we're showing the evidence to show that we're in compliance. In some cases where we say we're not in compliance, we admit it, and then we have a standard operating procedure to show that we're not going to repeat the offense. That basically concludes my presentation. I know that was a lot and it was all verbal, but if you have any questions, I will do my best to try to answer them at this late hour.
Thank you very much, Mr. Villarreal. I would ask committee member Aldrete. Is she's still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Do you have any questions about this?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Mr. Villarreal
All right,
was
thank
very
you.
clear.
Thank you. I'd ask any other board members if they have questions about the report. Let me let you know that as the committee chair, I have asked the president to have all of 12 findings available for us, you, me, to read in his office. I plan to do that, and I would encourage you, if you so desire, to do that as well. This item is for information purposes only. There's no action required. Were there any other comments or statements to be made? No? Then that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Zavaleta. Next item is the Policy Committee.
The best for last. The best for last.
Always.
The Policies Committee met on Monday, January 18th, 2021. Present were Chair Ruben Herrera, Ms. Aldrete, President Rodriguez, myself, members of the TSC Administration, College Legal Counsel, and Board Legal Counsel. One item was discussed, the consideration and possible action on adopting CLA local naming and or renaming of college properties and entities. And for this, I call Dr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Ms. Alejandro. Chair Herrera, Board Trustees. We've been working on this policy for several, Chair Herrera, Trustees, Ms. Alejandro. We've been working on this policy for multiple months now, trying to capture what we're trying to achieve on the naming and renaming of facilities. We worked with Dr. Zavaleta and Ms. Eva last year. We presented to the board, got some great feedback. So I took the lead and I relied on help with Dr. Angela McCauley to do a research. We looked into several policies throughout different colleges and universities, try to capture a policy that can fit Texas Southmost College. We took it to the committee for review this past Monday, and this is, I hope, a policy that captures the purpose and the essence of what the trustees would like to achieve. So it did take several months to try to capture what the board's intent was in submitting a policy for the naming or renaming of our policy. So I'll open it up to any questions that any of the trustees may have.
Make a motion to approve.
There's a motion on the table to approve the item as presented. Do you want to read the motion, Mr. De Leon?
It's Ms. Alejandro.
I'll second that.
The motion is to adopt CLA local, the naming and or renaming of college properties and entities.
I second that.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I just want to thank Dr. Rodriguez and all the people that were involved. I think they covered all the bases and did an excellent job. And Chair Herrera, this concludes my report.
Thank you so much. That concludes the public session, part of the public session. We will now go into executive session. The executive board will convene an executive session as provided by Government Code Chapter 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074. We're now in executive. Is there anyone who wishes to propose a motion from the executive session?
Mr. Chair, I want to make a motion. I want to move the TSC Board of Trustees approve the adopt fiscal year 2020 and 2021 salary schedule as presented in the executive session.
There's a motion by Mr. De Leon. Is there a second?
I second it.
Ms. Alejandro seconds the motion. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I will take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. And I will entertain the proposed meetings. The proposed meetings for our next board meeting, dates for our next board meeting is Thursday, February 18th, 2021 at 5:30. And I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
I move.
Ms. Garza made the motion and it was seconded by
Ms. Alejandro.
Ms. Alejandro. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.